The sea near the village of Pocky had grown quiet and empty. The fish that once filled nets within easy distance of the shore had moved far out into deep water, and the fishermen who depended on them came home most evenings with little to show for their long days. Among these fishermen was an old man named Gopal. He had fished these waters for 40 years, and he remembered when a single morning's work could feed a dozen families. Now he worked twice as hard for a fraction of what he used to catch. One morning, in the gray hour before sunrise, Gopal cast his net into water he had never tried before, a small, hidden cove between two rocky headlands that other fishermen avoided because the currents there were unpredictable. His net sank into the dark water, and when he pulled it back, it was so heavy he nearly fell from his boat. Inside the net, glowing faintly with a light of its own, was a fish unlike anything he had ever seen, silver as moonlight, with eyes like polished black stones and fins that moved like silken water. "Release me," the fish said, in a voice like wind across still water, "and I will grant you one wish. Only one. Choose wisely." Gopal sat very still in his boat for a long time. He thought about what he might want for himself: a bigger boat, a safer house, enough money to see his grandchildren through school. These were not small things. They were real needs. But then he thought about his neighbors. The fisherman with 6 children who had been selling his tools to buy food. The widow whose husband had drowned the previous winter, who now tried to fish alone in a boat too heavy for one person. The families in the village who had begun to go hungry in a way that was quiet, but visible to those paying attention. And he made his choice. "I wish," he said slowly, "for my village to never go hungry." The fish was still for a moment. Then it spoke. Most people who stand where you are standing wish for gold, or power, or long life. You have surprised me. Gold runs out, Gopal said simply. Power corrupts men. Long life without enough to eat is no gift. My village needs food. The fish nodded once. Somehow a fish's nod is unmistakable, and slipped back beneath the surface. Gopal returned to shore with an empty net and a full heart. He was not sure anything had changed. But the next morning, the sea around Pocky was different. Fish returned to the shallows in numbers that the oldest fisherman could not remember. The nets came up heavy every day. Not only fish, the shellfish beds that had been empty for a decade refilled overnight. The seagrass that fed everything else came back in long, swaying meadows beneath the surface. The village did not go hungry again. Not that year. Not in the years that followed. Not in the generation after that. Gopal grew old and eventually died, as all people do. But the sea remembered. And the village ate. People told the story of his wish for many generations afterward, not as a miracle, but as a lesson. The greatest wishes are not the ones that lift one person above others. They are the ones that lift everyone. Moral: the greatest wishes are the ones that benefit others, not just yourself. Selflessness has a way of creating abundance that selfishness never can. Fish.